Archeology hasn't gotten an update since Battle for Azeroth, apart from the Decor, of course. Hello mortals, Discordian Kitty here. According to data for Azeroth, only 2% of players have the Glorious Pendant of Rukhmar, and only 3% have the Dark Iron Brazier. This is probably because both items are tied to achievements from Archeology, one of Blizzard's increasing number of semi-abandoned projects. I've also found that, because Archeology hasn't been relevant for several expansions now, most guides about it are out of date. So, since I managed to get both Decor items recently, I just wanted to do this short guide on how you can earn those achievements in a relatively painless way, even if you've never touched Archeology before. In fact, there are some reports that sometimes those Archeology achievements are bugged on older characters. And while that could just be how people are reacting to really bad RNG, it is possible starting fresh might be the safest thing to do, just in case. First of all, if you're not doing Archeology on a Druid, I cannot recommend switching to a Druid strongly enough. Even though I had partial progress on these achievements on my Hunter main, I made the decision to rather start over so that I could work on them with a Druid, and I'm so glad I did. This is because Druids have two major advantages in Archeology. First, their flight and travel forms are an instant cast, and it cannot be overstated how much this speeds up the process. Archeology involves a lot of movement, so the faster you can manage that movement, the faster the whole thing is going to be. Second, Druids have access to Dreamwalk, which makes getting around a lot less painful. I did this on a Horde Druid myself, but an Alliance Druid is probably a better choice, since Alliance cities are also better positioned for the areas we're going to focus on. Ideally, you also want your Druid to be a high enough level to one-shot any creatures from Cataclysm or Warlords of Draenor zones. The last thing you want to be doing on a dig is stopping every 2 minutes to kill a mob. To unlock Dreamwalk on a Druid, you do need to first complete a few Legion quests. Go to a hero's board in any major city and choose the Broken Shore option. Follow the quests until you reach Dalaran. If you've ever done the intro to Legion before, you'll be able to skip over most of them. If you haven't, well, it's something worth doing at least once. Once in Dalaran, accept a summons from Moonglade from Archdruid Hamul Rune Totem and follow the quest chain until you reach to the Dream Grove. It's only a few short quests, and it's pretty much always worth doing on any Druid, as this will replace the Druid spell Teleport Moonglade with the far more useful Dreamwalk. The second thing you don't absolutely have to do, but you might want to do, is set up a garrison in Draenor so that you have access to the garrison Hearthstone. To do this, take a portal from your major city's portal room in Ashran, then fly over to this spot in Frostfire Ridge if you're Horde, or this spot in Shadowmoon Valley if you're Alliance. Accept the quest and follow the quest line until you get your garrison Hearthstone. It only takes a few very short quests. If you decide against using a Druid because, I don't know, you're a masochist I guess, then you'll still want to choose a character with a lot of movement that also has plenty of easy access to the Eastern Kingdoms and Draenor. Now that your Druid is ready to travel, it's time to set up your add-ons. First, you'll want the fan-updated version of Archeology Helper. The original add-on has been abandoned, but thankfully the fan update works great. Second, it's really worthwhile to also get Gathermate 2 and Gathermate 2 data, which will help you find and track Archeology nodes. With Gathermate 2, make sure that Show Archeology nodes is switched on. You can have them either always shown or show only with dig sites. And then under Filters, make sure all Archeology nodes are selected. Then go into Import, select Archeology, and import the data for Cataclysm and Warlords of Draenor. Last of all, your Druid needs Archeology. Horde players can learn this from Belloc Brightblade in Orgrimmar, Alliance players from Harrison Jones in Stormwind City. If you're trying to earn both Archeology Decor items, then I strongly recommend starting with the Dark Iron Brazier, as this will also help you level Archeology, which will help with the next one. For the Dark Iron Brazier, you need to complete the Kings Under the Mountain achievement, which requires discovering 7 specific dwarven artifacts. I did this on a fresh character who had only just learned Archeology in one afternoon, so it doesn't need to take weeks. Don't get me wrong, by the end my Archeology on that character was 600, so it is a long grind. Discovering artifacts is very straightforward, but it's RNG based, which is where the pain comes in. Once you have archaeology, dig sites will appear on your map. They look like little shovels. If you want a dwarven artifact, you will want a dwarven dig site. Most of these spawn in the Eastern Kingdoms. Only a few dig sites will be up at any given time, and once you complete a site, a new site will spawn. Troll, fossil, and occasionally some other dig sites can also spawn in the Eastern Kingdoms, so if there's no available dwarf dig, then you'll want to do other sites until a dwarf site spawns. I tended to prioritize fossil next because those can drop a mount. Basically, you'll be traveling around the Eastern Kingdoms, completing digs, prioritizing dwarven sites until you've finally completed all the dwarven artifacts. The reason why I recommend a druid is because Dreamwalk provides portals to both the hinterlands and Duskwood. Dreamwalk does not have a cooldown, so you can jump to the top or bottom of the Eastern Kingdoms map easily. An Alliance character can also quite easily get to Ironforge or Stormwind, which are more central. Both Alliance and Horde characters may sometimes also take their capital city portal to the Twilight Highlands. Horde and Alliance players can also both get to the Blasted Lands by talking to the mage who stands in front of the Shatrath city portal in their capital city's portal room. Archeology grants the skill Survey. At a dig site, using the skill will set down a telescope that has a light flashing next to it. You're looking for archaeology fragments. The telescope will point in the general direction of the fragments, and the light gives you an idea of how far away it is. Red is far away, yellow is a bit closer, green is very close. Once you're on top of the fragments, a lit shovel will appear above your head. Use Survey here and you'll dig up some fragments. There are 6 sets of fragments in every site. Once you've found all 6, the site will close and a new one will show up. Once you have enough fragments, you can use them to complete artifacts by going into your archaeology journal. Some artifacts can also be helped along with keystones. These have a chance to drop during any dig, and they can also be bought and sold on the auction house, a cost that's well worth it in my view, since they help to make your fragments go much further. The dwarven keystones are called dwarf runestones. Once you solve an artifact, a new one will randomly be selected. You're hoping that the artifacts you need for the achievements are the ones that show up. The good news is there is no skill level that's required to get the rarer artifacts. You just need fragments from the relevant race. The bad news is it really is down to RNG, so you have to just keep solving artifacts, hoping that the ones you need show up next. I know, right? Truly riveting content. I strongly suggest putting on an audiobook or, I don't know, watching some WoW lore videos. I have tons. Thankfully, the add-ons Archeology Helper and GatherMate 2 do help with this whole process. First of all, with Archeology Helper, I suggest making sure that automatic mounting is enabled, and that you've set up key bindings for Cast Survey and for adding each of the areas to the HUD. To use this add-on effectively, cast Survey and then add whatever area that matches the light. So if the light is red, add red. This should automatically let you mount up as well, or cast Flight Form if you're a druid. It will also set down a red overlay, showing you where the fragments could spawn. Fly over to that area and cast Survey again, then create a new overlay. This mapping already helps with pinpointing fragment locations, but combining it with GatherMate 2 makes it even easier, because that will add possible fragment spawn points on your map. Not necessarily all of them, but enough for you to usually be able to find the exact right place to stand with minimal effort. Prioritize standing on top of GatherMate 2 circles with the color overlay maps, and more often than not, you'll find your fragments. Once you've earned the Kings Under the Mountain achievement, you'll automatically be rewarded your first Dark Iron Brazier. Afterwards, more copies can be purchased from Daedric's Sleet Shaper in Ironforge. They're 700 gold each. The other archaeology-related decor is the Glorious Pendant of Rukhmar. This decor is rewarded from the achievement Secrets of Sketis, which requires discovering 10 Arakoa artifacts. Arakoa dig sites can be found in Warlords of Draenor zones, so you'll be doing basically the same thing as before, but in Draenor. And while 10 artifacts instead of 7 may sound intimidating, I actually found this achievement much easier and faster, though keep in mind that could just be because I got really lucky with RNG. Remember also that you can use keystones to help complete some artifacts. The Arakoa ones are called Arakoa ciphers. As an added bonus, even digs that aren't Arakoa can help contribute to the achievement thanks to restored artifacts. From Mists of Pandaria on, most discovered artifacts can be converted into restored artifacts, which can then be sold to a vendor in exchange for a crate of any artifact fragments you want once you have the right skill level. Crates of Arakoa fragments require a skill of 800. Once you meet the requirements, you should head to Rarest the Learned in Legion's version of Dalaran to exchange them for the fragments you want. Once you've earned the Secrets of Sketis achievement, you'll automatically be rewarded your first Glorious Pendant of Rukhmar. Afterwards, more copies can be purchased from Ruan the Seer in Spires of Iraq. There are 500 gold and 1000 Apexis crystals apiece. Personally, I think all Decor once earned should be purchasable directly from the catalog and always have an optional gold price in case you don't have the special currency, but for now, this is what we have to do. Last of all, the Mantid Dig Method is a super speedy method that's pretty decent for all archaeology, no matter what you're trying to do. However, this method requires an archaeology skill of at least 600, 800 if you want to use it for Arakoa archaeology, which is why I've saved talking about it for last. This method also requires an exalted reputation with the Lawwalkers, which sounds intimidating but really isn't. Lawwalkers is one of the easiest reputations to get to exalted. It just requires flying around gathering law books in Pandaria. I've covered how to earn this one in more detail in my video about library decor. Once you've met the requirements, if you don't already own any restored artifacts, you'll want to complete digs until you have at least 2. Then head to Bran Bronzebeard in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms in Pandaria and exchange the crates for a Mantid Artifact Hunter's Kit. The kit contains a Mantid Artifact Sonic Locator and a Lawwalker's map. The locator will cause only Mantid digs to spawn in Pandaria for the next 24 hours. Make sure to also use the Lawwalker's map to reset your digs to make the first set of Mantid ones spawn. Mantid digs are really small, so completing them often goes by much faster. They all spawn in roughly the same area along the west side of Pandaria, so it doesn't require a lot of travel. In other words, this method is the fastest way to farm restored artifacts, which can be turned in for any fragments you like, including the ones we need for this decor. And it's the method a lot of players swear by. And that's all for now. If you're trying to earn the archaeology decor, then hopefully this video has helped make it less painful. If there's any other decor you really want to earn but you don't know how to begin, let me know in the comments below. And remember, you can like, subscribe, comment, share, enable notifications, all the good YouTube stuff. You can also find me streaming both here and on Twitch, or you can find me in my Discord channel. Relevant links are below. A big thank you to my Patreons and channel members whose names you can see now, as well as you for being one of those algorithm helping champions who watch videos all the way to the end. So while that's all for now, hopefully I'll see you again soon.